Hi guys, today I am going to tackle this Stanley dupe from Temu. I'm not going to do too much to this because I just don't want it to get too chunky, and I don't want it to get too crazy. I am going to not do the handle though. I'm going to unscrew it from the cup itself, and I'm just going to set it aside and leave it as is, because this handle is so chunky to begin with that I don't want to make it any thicker or heavier, and it just slides off, and it's got these two brackets it hooks to, so I can just work around that. So I'm going to put the screws in a little ring dish so I don't lose them. I'm going to set the lid aside because I'm not going to do anything with the lid, because this lid slides around and around and around and around and around. I mean, I could pop this off and decorate the lid, but I don't want to. So my initial thought had been like sand it down, but this is just a small piece of 220. So I'm just going to go ahead and sand the whole thing quickly. So, sanded. I'm just going to wipe it down with some alcohol. If you want to take it out and wash it down with Dawn, do that. So, my plan for this cup is pretty simple. Like I said, I'm going to use these temporary tattoos I got from Temu on here. I have 2 sets of them. I thought about putting like my business name or something on it in vinyl, but I think I'm just going to go with the tattoos. I don't really feel the need to have words. So, this is the full set. I didn't even realize there was a second turtle down here. Fun. So, I'm going to use both sets of these because there's a lot of area to cover. But before I do that, I had originally thought maybe an alcohol ink swirl, but I want to keep the epoxy fairly thin. Because this is for me, I might keep it to just 2 layers, because this cup is massive. So I'm just going to pick a pretty fine glitter or 2 to put in my coat. I don't want full coverage. I just want some sparkle. So I'm gonna find an arm I can get this on, figure out what turner it's gonna fit on, and I will be back to get started. Okay, so I'm going to mix my glitter together in a small cup before I even touch my epoxy, because I need to be ready to move. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the diamond dust. Oops. Just kind of shaking it together. I don't need a ton of glitter because I won't have room for a lot in my cup. A little bit more of the diamond dust. So that's going to be it for that. Whoops. Kind of mix it in as best I can without overflowing the cup. Bring this back in closer. And hopefully the epoxy doesn't repel over this coating. It might. I don't really know what's going to happen here, because it's a different type of cup and it's a relatively new to me epoxy. So we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping for just a semi-glittery base layer. Like I said, I'm going to go over that stainless steel rim. I didn't want to tape it off. I like full coverage right to the top. Personal preference. If you want to tape it, if you want to spray paint these and do something completely different, go for it. I liked the original color. That's why I'm doing a light glitter to kind of maintain that aspect of this cup. Okay, so my cup is pretty much ready, but I need to prepare my tattoos and get ready on this end. So I'm going to cut them into all individual pieces, both sheets. I'm keeping the topper on for now. I want them getting wet on here. And I'm gonna go grab my cup. So I realized that I paused you when I went to find my dish, and I've kind of missed most of the tattoo process, but I peeled the front paper off, I put the tattoo on, and then I have a damp paper towel sitting on it to release the tattoo. And I'm just going to kind of slide the paper off. So this was actually the fourth turtle already. I am so sorry. But this is what I've done so far. I put one of the big tattoos on the front. I put these two little ones to kind of mirror the handle. I put the other little turtle there. This one here, this one on the bottom. And now I'm just going to kind of finish up the smaller like florals and shells and stuff. So you make sure you peel your little front paper off. Once you stick the tattoo, that is where it is going. Do not try to lift it again. bad things will happen. So, put a little shell here. So I've got 4 more little ones to do after these, but it's just basic tattoo. I don't know if I showed the part where I sanded my rim down. This video is turning into a hot mess. I don't know where that came from. A little seashell, little floral. So that is all of the tattoos on now. So I'm going to let this dry very, very thoroughly before I move on. You don't want your epoxy to be wet or on something wet. So, that's it. Like I said, I decided against putting any kind of text on here or anything. I just wanted to keep it pretty simple. Okay, so this is dry and ready to get a coat on it. It's not going to get any additives or anything. I still haven't looked back at the video to see, but I did sand the top of the rim and just a tiny bit here to give this coat something to grip to. So, but the tattoos are all dry and done. I didn't have any epoxy repelling with just a little bit of sanding and wiping it down with alcohol. So, and the turbo actually laid really nicely. So this coat, I'm just going to do 20 mLs. We'll see what kind of coverage I get that way. Again, with the turbo, if I need another coat, I'll go ahead and do that after this coat dries. Okay, so this is far from perfect, but I am going to call it done because if I add any more, I'm not going to be able to get the handle back on. That was a challenge. In hindsight, I probably should have just, and it needs to get washed. In hindsight, I probably should have just taped off the handle or spray painted the whole thing, but I didn't have any epoxy repelling or anything like that. By just giving it the light sand and going over it. My rim is good. I dinged up my lid a little bit somehow, but I did manage to get my handle back on. I had to use a blade and scrape off those metal pieces, and then I had to kind of start the screws at an angle and suck it back to itself when it tightened up. So I actually don't think I could have made it work at all with the handle had I put another coat on. So be aware of that. Like I said, I'd probably have been better off to just tape the handle off. So again, not perfect, but it's for me, so it's fine. I do think this one is maybe going to go to the lake for the summer. I haven't decided because I was going to bring one of the wraps to the lake, but either that or I might just bring it to work and keep it there for a water cup. I haven't decided. I don't usually use giant cups like this, so we'll see if I like it, but it's definitely not going to be a travel cup. But that is my Stanley dupe epoxy tumbler. I love my glitter mixture. That is it. Again, I had no problems with the epoxy repelling or anything like that. So a light sanding. I didn't take any of the color off in sanding. And then I just wiped it down with alcohol, let it dry, and went into my epoxy. So that is it.